Ready when you are. All right, so I just sent him a message. We're gonna see if he's good to go. He's gonna be streaming as well, you guys. So he might be doing his intro, and I don't want like while he's in the middle of his intro, I don't want to be like hello and just like bust in. He says, "Give me 2 minutes." I hope he doesn't have to say that too often. Ooh. He can't even defend himself, chat. He's not even here. Are you nervous, Muck? Dude, the other day I talked to I was talking on stream to 13,000 people. I think I can handle one guy that is as rich as 13,000 people. All right.
He's talking about trees?
Talk about trees. I'm talking about trees. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you actually. Yeah, perfect.
Nice.
Okay, let's see. Let me know how's the volume on the stream.
Arrival.
Of course, this is the first podcast. We'll have some technical difficulties, of course. That's what you expect when you have me hosting something like this. So make sure you let me know the music volume, Muckluck's volume, my volume, and hopefully let's go. Let's get this started. I'm excited. This is the first podcast of the series, Muckluck. Nice to have you here.
The series. Oh, how often are you going to be doing these?
Ideally, I want to do these once or twice a month. I want to do these twice a month, but realistically, you know, maybe once a month will be okay. It's just getting, you know, a special guest and things like that.
I like how that was an incredibly non-committal answer. You are known for your punctuality.
Very much, yes, exactly. Yeah, I mean, the idea came about like months ago when we did the first podcast, me, you, T-Paw, and Red. And I had wanted to do a podcast for so long. I just didn't know what would be, you know, the focus. Everyone was like, do a money-making podcast, an economy podcast. And the problem with that is that like there's only so much you could talk about like the game's economy before you actually run out of things to say. And yeah, I looked at other podcasts and I thought, you know, what would be interesting is actually having a podcast where you actually just kind of introduce the guests themselves, like, you know, like how a regular podcast would go. You have a special guest and you kind of go through their story. And then, of course, there's a main topic to discuss, which we'll get to in a bit.
So basically you're saying this would be so much easier if you made the other guy do more work.
It kind of is that way, yes. I'll be asking you a lot of questions, which, you know, eventually, hopefully, that have some relevance to Guild Wars 2, and then we'll get into Guild Wars 2. But yeah, for those that don't know, today the topics we'll cover, and this is the theme going on for, you know, like I said, the podcast going forward. I'd love to kind of, you know, ask each streamer, content creator, or each player that we bring on the podcast what their story is, whether that's as a content creator, streamer, or their relation to Guild Wars 2, and then, you know, from kind of there move forward, and then, you know, whatever the main topic of discussion of the day is, whether it's maybe a market discussion, maybe it's a story discussion, recent news of the game discussion, but as long as it all ties into Guild Wars 2. But, you know, I love for it to be the focus on who I'm interviewing, which I actually, you know, I didn't have anyone else in mind for this episode. You know, you were actually the first one in mind when it came to episode 1. You know why?
That sounds so bad. You're like, yeah, I didn't have anyone else in mind. You'll do.
No. Okay, maybe I didn't say that like in the best way, but like, okay, there's a reason why I chose you as a special guest. So I was thinking of like, who can I interview that has a, well, first of all, you know, a big guest that we can bring on for the first episode, right? So, you know, go out with a huge episode, and at the same time, someone that's kind of unique in a way. And, you know, there was, of course, the other streamers in mind. You got, you know, Mighty Teapot, you got Wooden Potatoes.
I was actually waiting for you to take a breath so I could say, and then after Mighty Teapot didn't pick up your call, you came to me.
No, no. I mean, it's honestly, I kind of wanted somebody who has a unique story, and you actually do have a unique story. You know that, right? and you want to know what your unique story is?
Oh, please tell me.
It's the fact that you're the only streamer in Guild Wars 2 who has streamed consistently for 1,000 days plus. And that's what makes you different, because as a Guild Wars 2 content creator, everybody's almost the same depending on the game mode they do. But you're the only person I know that has so much commitment to his audience.
I'm glad I got
Yeah,
one thing going for me. I may not have quality, but I've got quantity, chat.
No, we can. No, I'm sure there's quality. I mean, I've seen the sound bites that you do in your stream. Your audience knows how to pick those sound bites. Let me tell you.
They do. It's gotten a lot more fun. We've got this thing where patrons that are helping me pay for things like what is it called? Food. They are allowed to pick a soundbite, and it plays their soundbite when they first talk each day. And sometimes they'll wait for, like, you know, in my mind, the worst possible moment, and then they'll do it, and then it's usually clip-worthy if they line it up right.
You've had to actually mute those sound or disable them when you do giveaways, right? Because there's too many of them going on.
Well, I disable the one. So there's the patron noises that I just mentioned, and then there's like the drops that are like songs and stuff like that. Those, yeah, I have to turn those off sometimes because people get out of hand. And we've got such a big library of them at this point that occasionally we have like one guy that's like rich with Monopoly money who comes in here, and then he's just like queues up 10 minutes of sounds, and I'm like, oh, okay, we need to pause this.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, you recently, I mean, I guess, you know, this is, of course, it happened a few days ago. You actually did celebrate your 1,000 days as a streamer, consistently streaming since day one and everything. How was your stream the other day? I managed to tune in for maybe a little late at my time, but how was your stream overall?
Dude, it was insane. So there was like 4 or 5 different people that rated me, and I'm grateful to all of them. But the big thing was that CohhCarnage, I don't know if you know who he is. He's got like 3 million followers on Twitch, and half of the stuff in my YouTube and Twitch is literally emulated around him. He's a family-friendly streamer, and he streamed 2,000 days in a row years ago before he took a break. His wife was like, "You're taking me on vacation, stop it." So he stopped after 2,000. But he rated me on on Thursday, the day of day 1,000, with 13,000 people. And the most people I had ever had in my channel was 1,500 on my last birthday. And my average, like, to really put this into perspective, my average is 200s on a good day, 300. So I suddenly had 13,000 people in here, and I was like, Muckless mouth, let me rich. I was trying so hard to like be entertained and not have a freaking heart attack. But you know, got a bunch of new follows. So like that was awesome. It was very much a senpai noticed me moment. Like I very much look up to this guy, and he's like, "Yeah, I heard you have a special day. Here you go."
You've mentioned a lot of times on stream that was like the person you kind of like as a streamer who you look up to as another streamer, and he was basically that for you, right? So it must have meant a lot, the fact that you also got some recognition from the same person that you love to kind of like, you know, get into the same kind of footsteps and how you want to present your stream as well.
Yeah, it's like he is kind of proof that what I'm trying to do can work on a big level, you know? So you know, he's consistent. I mentioned the 2,000 days. He does family friendly content. He streams every day. He swaps. I mean, he's a variety streamer, which is one of the hardest things to get into on Twitch. You know, I primarily do Guild Wars 2. I'd say at this point I'm like 2/3 Guild Wars 2, 1/3 variety. But you know, he retains this massive audience, and he switches games like every 3 days, which is one of the hardest genres, I think, to retain an audience on.
Yeah. But I think something like that, it eventually, once you know, and I think for you as well, you've started to develop that kind of like amount of, you know, the viewers who will tune in, like, you know, like no matter what you play type of thing. Like you've started transitioning into that role where you can, you know, play another game and, you know, of course, there'll be a viewership drop from those who mainly know what you play in Guild Wars 2, but you've been able to now consistently raise even the average of viewers who will watch a variety stream, right?
Yeah, so I'm going to round these numbers to make this easily explained. But the first days that I'd be like, all right, guys, I'm going to do an hour of variety at the end of the stream. You know, I'm going to swap over to, you know, lately it's Valheim, but there was a period of time where I tried many different games. And so I'd do like 4 hours Guild Wars 2, 1 hour of something. And I would my viewership might go from 300 to 100 for that last hour. You know, some people would stay, many would go, but it definitely almost feel like I had to kind of get the audience used to me doing that. Even still, after months of that, the viewership drops a little bit, but it might be like 300 to 250, so it's not nearly as severe. It's like people are more accepting of me trying different things. And I've had a lot of people be like, dang it, Muck, stop showing me new great games. I keep buying them. So definitely having an impression on people. I need all these other companies to give me referral links, dang it.
Yeah, it's all about that sponsorship money, which actually, I finally got my first sponsorship a few months ago, and I was actually excited because I was like, oh, this is the streamer money Muckluck's talking about.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah,
I mean,
you occasionally get offered. I mean, at this point, maybe once or twice a week, I'll get an email from a company about a sponsorship, and I'll be honest, most of them are god awful. So like, I'd say once a month, I might like, oh yeah, that doesn't look bad, I'll accept that. And they're like, hey, if you play our clearly illegal copy of Fortnite knockoff, you know, oh, we'll give you $50, and I'm like, that's a no for many reasons.
Yeah. Well, I think it's also like when you, and this is I think something that a lot of people as content creators in general, they don't really realize that you don't have to say yes to every sponsorship. In fact, if you say yes to everything, you kind of leave yourself open to be like, oh, well, you're easily able to, you know, get influenced by such things, where if you stand your ground and say, this is not worth my time, there's a bit more respect towards that person who's saying, well, yeah, they don't look like they're very, you know, they need this kind of thing.
Well, yeah, well, plus these companies talk to each other. So, like, let's say you think you're worth, you know, $100 for a sponsored stream segment, and then some company's like, hey, we do it for 50, and you're like, okay, sure. Then that company will tell others this guy will work for 50. And that's a very simplistic way of explaining it, but they do communicate with each other. So even if you don't want to do it, you don't want to burn a bridge. Like, you don't want to be like, F no. You know, you say like, oh, you know, I'm not interested in another one at this time, but thank you. You know, like you don't want to burn a bridge. You don't want them to be telling other people that you're just like a jerk, you know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Or that you're cheap.
True. So back to your CohhCarnage inspiration. Do you think you'll beat 2,000 days?
I mean, I gotta say, as far as me having the willpower, I'm confident in me. You know, I've got to 1,000 days. It's a matter of like, will there be a day in the next 1,000 days where my internet's out, where my power goes out, or I get hit by a freaking bus? You know, probably not that last one unless the bus comes through my house because I never go outside. But you get the idea. So like, will there be something outside of my control that happens in the next 1,000 days? Maybe. But I'm not breaking the streak on my own accord anytime soon.
Okay. So you do strive to keep this going. Okay, I see that.
Yeah, my
That's
chat's saying
really,
hospital stream hype.
I mean, worst comes to worst, if anything happens, just bring the camera with you and be like, it still technically counts. I still streamed.
Oh yeah.
And just, yeah. That's nice. Overall though, going back to day one as a kind of streamer, right? What kind of got you into wanting to stream, or, you know, saying, I think I'll give this a shot? Was it for fun? You know, walk me through that.
I had been watching Twitch just as a viewer for a while, and thinking that looks, yeah, basically it's one of those things where like I looked at what someone else was doing and I thought that looked fun. I was like, I'd like to try that. And I honestly hate how long I waited, because I probably had that idea in my head for like a year before I actually sat down and did the work to learn how to set up a stream and did my first stream. And there was a running joke, because I was coming from raid leading, like, server first raids in World of Warcraft, so we had a running joke that like, oh, Muck is used to yelling and having nobody listen to him. This will be no different. So it wasn't a big thing. And then, so like, even on day one, like, you look at some streamers on their very first stream, they might be shy, they might be completely quiet, they're just sitting there drooling out the side of their mouth playing Call of Duty. You know, they're not talking. I didn't really have any problem with just talking to empty air, even from the very beginning. Like, okay guys, today we're going to be playing Divinity Original Sin 2, going to be playing this lizard guy thing, you know, whatever. It wasn't difficult, that part of it wasn't difficult for me. And then on my day one stream, I got rated by a guy. I didn't know what rated meant. In chat, it's like, Billy Bob has rated you for 30 people. And I was like, I have no idea what that means. But suddenly there were people talking in my chats. I was like, hi. And I was doing my best to talk with them. I was so new, I didn't even ask them to follow. I had 0 followers. I freaking should have asked them to follow. It was so much fun just chatting with these guys that that was when I got bit by the bug. I was like, all right, I'm doing this. Now, that gave me a very false first impression of Twitch, because for the next month I had 0 viewers, which is a lot more normal experience on Twitch. But yeah, it was fun enough that it kept me coming back.
Nice. And for me, honestly, I wish, I don't know, like when I started streaming, I had already kind of built, not a following, but I'd say people knew of me a little too much after doing those podcasts with Wooden Potatoes and then New to Comedy.
That's when I first heard you, Rich Boy.
Yeah. Yeah, so like when I actually went live for the first time, I didn't have that experience of I can be silent while I'm streaming. I think maybe that's in a good way, because immediately when I start having a good amount of viewers that would keep me going, I was like, this is actually good. The more you practice trying to be comfortable in front of the camera, the better you can, like, you kind of get better at it. And I think having that for me personally, like where I was just from the get-go having to interact with the chat as much as I could, it kind of helped me, I think, going forward. And of course, I didn't actually have a camera when I first started, so it was only until I got a PC set up a few months later is when really all of this came together. But going to that, in those like 2 years, or at least the year where a few months that you first started streaming, did you kind of have like a bit of a doubt, like this is not working? What can I do to make this better? Or, because we all as streamers go through that, right? Like, why is no one watching the stream? Or...
As far as doubt, no. Like some nights I'd have viewers, some nights I wouldn't. But I always had on my stream we say my brain made the habit juice. I was having so much fun with just even a couple of people there to talk to. Like any evening I ended the stream and I had like 2 people there chatting with me the whole time, it felt like to me like I had spent a night hanging out with friends. And that was great. That was a drug I wanted more of. Now, as far as like, did I want to improve it? Oh God, yes. Like I remember every single day for the first month, I tried to do something like, add a follower alert, add a banner at the top of my page, make a logo for Twitch. Yeah, I was trying to every day be able to be like, all right, this is better than yesterday, and then just continue on like that. Yeah, absolutely. I was constantly trying to improve it.
Yeah, it's actually one of the things that I feel like you watch all those streamer tips before you start streaming kind of thing, and a lot of it really, they tell you like, well, make sure your production quality is as good as you can make it be. Don't go overboard in the sense of like, if you can't, for example, string the funds to do something. I feel like that's something a lot of streamers kind of lose sight of, is where they spend more money than they have to or should, or even in the sense where like they maybe should not be putting money yet into the thing if it's something that will cost them something in real life. And that's something I've noticed a lot of people do. Like you'll have a channel with a lot of production value and everything, and there might not be that many followers or viewers, and you're kind of wondering sometimes like, is this going to be affecting them personally, or are they fine? Because I know for some people it's fine, it's a hobby. If it doesn't work out, it's still something fun to do and learn. Did you have any of that stuff where you were like, putting up certain budgets for yourself and hoping that you could reach those budgets?
So when the first 2 years I streamed, I was working a full-time job, and we kind of called this my full-time hobby. And although I streamed every day, early on it was like 2 to 3 hours a night. Now it's a lot longer because I do this as an occupation. But I was like, I'd go to work, come home, hang out with my wife and kid. My kid would go to bed. My wife would go do her thing, and then I would start streaming. And as far as the budget goes, I made myself kind of a personal rule going in. I wasn't going to spend money on the stream beyond what I made from the stream. So, like, very early on, I was like, gosh, my microphone and camera suck. And I wanted to replace them, but like I wanted a $100 webcam to get a decent one that I wouldn't have to replace for a long time. And so I was waiting until I made at least $100. Now, for those of you who don't stream, making $100 after starting with 0 viewers, that could be 6 months. That's a long time. So it was many months of me sounding like a tin can on string before I swapped that out. And I'm not saying that's the right way to do it. You can absolutely spend more money going into it as long as you are okay and have recognized the fact that it may be a very long time before you get that money reimbursed back to you. With Twitch, YouTube, if you have a bunch of views, you get advertisement revenue. On Twitch, ad revenue is almost non-existent. It's basically just out of the kindness of other people, bits, subs, things like that. So like it is completely possible to stream to 1,000 people for 5 hours and make no money. And that's why most people who are successful on Twitch, and I say most, not all, but most of them are, they also have like a very powerful YouTube channel, or they're doing TikTok or Instagram or something like that. They are sponsors. They're getting money regularly somewhere else because the Twitch is it's very fun, but it's very volatile. It's unreliable. It's all over the place.
Yeah, it's actually something I kind of, while I was going through this myself, I kind of figured out like, yeah, this is actually, I can't just do Twitch. Because initially when I think, peaked, I call this like really my first peak, because that period when I came back with a full setup, between March to like July or something, then that's where I took my breaks and everything. And then of course, something happened to this man. And then, that period though, I did notice a lot of growth and like a lot of nice revenue was coming in, which honestly, I was grateful that I was even getting anything, because to me it was more, I want to do this for fun, and if it gets to a level of where I think I can make something out of this, then I will continue doing it. So for me, putting in the money for a PC setup, putting in the money for a better webcam, better microphone, I knew that possibly I might not get all that money back, but of course you do that, and then of course I was able to, of course I'm grateful to be financially able to do this.
And in my mind, as long as you're able to like pay your bills, like you're not about to be evicted or something, that's fine. Like people spend money on their hobbies. There's nothing wrong with that. I'm just saying, if there's anyone out there who's thinking of trying this, don't put yourself in the hole, because there's no promise that you'll get it back.
Yeah, don't think of kind of like where you want to be a year from now. Focus on how you'll get there first, because I think like people want to kind of accelerate the growth sometimes, and it can come on the expense of money that you might not actually redeem a year from now if you think of that stuff. So I do agree. Overall though, in that time of streaming, you at some point came back to Guild Wars, and you had mentioned before you actually came back to Guild Wars. You were playing Guild Wars 2 before, right? You had just took a break, or you quit from it.
Yeah, so back when Guild Wars 2 first launched, very soon after the launch, I've got the hard copy, like that you'd pick up from the physical store. My wife and I got into it, and we played characters. We were scrubs. Honestly, everybody was. The game was brand new. I had played Guild Wars 1, and there's a lot of people that are like, oh, Guild Wars 1 was God's gift to games. I very much like Guild Wars 2 more than the first one. But the first one was nice. To me, as like I played through the campaign, it was like I read a good book and then I put it on the shelf and I was done with it. So I got Guild Wars 2, and we played it for a few months. We got to max level. We got bored. I think I might have gotten hooked on WoW or something, and we stopped. So I had a max level character 8 years ago, but I just kind of stopped playing the game. And then 2+ years ago, one of my friends sent me a video, and it was from Wooden Potatoes, and it was called the Million Minion Reaper build, and it's still on YouTube if any of y'all want to look for it. And it was a Necromancer build that abused the Rise skill before it was nerfed, and you could literally get dozens and dozens and dozens of Necromancer minions. And he had this video of him and like 4 other Necros in PvP, and they had like hundreds of ankle-biting minions running around, and I was like, that looks like my jam. Like, you guys know I always play like Ranger and Necro. I'm all about the pet classes. And that video made me come back to the game. I didn't know that had already been nerfed. I literally came back to the game to play a build that it wasn't even in the game anymore. And I didn't find out for months. But by the time I figured it out, I was so enthralled with the game again for other reasons that I was totally fine with that. So it was a wooden potatoes video that got me here.
Nice. So, eventually, when you took your break, you said, was that before Heart of Thorns?
Yeah, it was like a few months after launch. So it was like in vanilla. You know, there was no living world, no expansions or anything. Like,
Yeah.
This was when there was a PvP map where half of it was underwater, and I would get down there on my engineer and make the floaty turrets, and those turrets would kill everybody because turrets were actually good.
Turret build used to be the thing.
Rangers running around with spirits actually walking behind them.
Yeah, I miss those days. But okay, so overall though, when you started streaming initially, and of course Guild Wars 2 had been long kind of like on the back burner at this point for you. What made you want to come back to Guild Wars 2 during your time, either personally as a gamer or as a streamer? What made you think that, let me give this one more shot again?
Well, so I had already been streaming for a while when I came back to Guild Wars 2. It's like when I came back, I made my Necro and I named it Muckluck Twitch because in my mind that was free advertising. And when I came back to it, you know, I had 8 years of birthday presents because my account was so old. And I had been streaming RPGs, Divinity Original Sin 2, Divinity Original Sin 1, Pillars of Eternity, like almost, if anyone here is not familiar with those games, those are games that are like almost Dungeons and Dragons rules, you know, swords, magic, fantasy, some of them are turn-based. So I was doing lots of different RPG stuff. So, you know, this is an MMORPG. It's not a huge step away from that. So my audience, which might have been, you know, average viewership of 10 to 20 at that point, came with me over here, and then I just like fell in love with the game all over again, like to the point that I streamed it every night for almost 2 years, you know. So I just got the bug really bad at that point. And then it was during that time period that I, you know, made my first guide, and then I got kind of hooked on making guides. Up until then, my YouTube, I made such a mistake. If I could do it all over again, I was just uploading my VODs to my YouTube channel, and then there was a link that came back to my Twitch. I was literally, my YouTube was such low effort trash. It was just like me just trying to get people to come watch me on Twitch. I wasn't putting any effort into YouTube. But then when I started making the guides, that was when everything really blew up.
Yeah. And at that point, you had been, what would we say, like a little over a year from streaming, right? Like when you made your return to the game.
Probably 6 months to a year, something like that.
6 months to a year. Okay. So initially, wait, you were one of those, don't tell me, you were one of those Twitch streamers who would just upload the entire VOD to YouTube?
Yep. If you go to my YouTube and then you like just go to the oldest videos, it's literally like 5-hour long VODs. Like I for some reason it made me happy to collect them. But of course, like even now with how big I am now, you go back to those, they've got like, you know, 7 views. Like it was not worth the effort I was putting into even uploading them. But occasionally, like each year on the stream birthday, we'll go back and watch the first 5 minutes of my very first stream, which is an absolute train wreck, and we'll just laugh at it.
That must be a huge difference from where you are now.
Oh, dude, it sounds like I'm on a tin can and string for a microphone. I'm sitting here I'm like trying to get OBS to work for 5 minutes and just sitting there silently. That's how the video starts.
We had a question from Sam. Were the VOD days happening when Muck had a regular job and no time to video edit?
So video editing, of course, is a skill in its own right, and I didn't bother to learn video editing until I had been uploading VODs to my YouTube channel for like 8 months. So after 8 months, maybe more, my YouTube channel had like 600 subs. And then I started making a couple of guides. And then the first video that really blew it up, which many people here have seen, was Why Play Guild Wars 2, explaining the appeal. And it was just me basically making a commercial for the game. And I had just gotten a referral link for Anet. I was trying to, you know, really work that referral link. So I had a video saying, oh, you would love this game, here's why. And also use this link. And that video took me from like 600 subs into the thousands very quickly And that's when I started making my first pennies, and I do stress pennies, from YouTube, because you don't get anything until you pass 1,000 subs.
Yeah, I mean, I have reached 1,000 subs recently, and I still have to work on the watch hours, which I was like, wait, that wasn't there before.
They've changed the rules for monetization multiple times. There's a few people that I've read about that they were monetized, and they had evergreen content, like, you know, guides where people just keep coming back to it, and they just stopped putting any effort into YouTube years ago, and they were just kind of, it was just like a small couple $100 paycheck that would come to them each month for no effort. But then the monetization rules changed, and they're no longer monetized, and so they would have to actually like get back into the game to be able to get monetized again. It's like, oh, that sucks. YouTube keeps raising the bar.
Yikes. Yeah, I mean, I still have a long way to go. I've also kind of tried to invest a little bit into my YouTube. I wouldn't say like it's where I want to at now, but I do have the same kind of mindset of like, you need those videos that you know that's like people all need to see that video, the must see, whether it's in general game knowledge, how to make money in certain ways, because I feel like the way that you've kind of struck with the guides thing, it's a gold mine, right? People need to know how to do something, and there's like maybe thousands of videos or hundreds of videos of guides in Guild Wars 2, but as long as you're someone who's consistent, then people will eventually just stick to you. The same way as, you know, people go to Teapot for his guides, the same way as people go to Wooden Potatoes for whatever he has to say, and he has a lot to say usually.
Yeah.
So I feel like you've struck the same thing here with guides, is that like, because you've become consistent and you've made sure to not put any fluff in your guides, it's really like what you have to know, and none of that 2 minutes of you know, that where, oh, I need to skip, where does it get to that part? So you actually mastered the content and quality of how a guide should be done.
Yeah, so there was a video I watched, I don't know how long ago, that really struck a chord with me, and it really kind of defined my thought processes on this. You don't, like, obviously if you're like PewDiePie, or even, you know, a percentage of what PewDiePie is, you can just upload a video about whatever, and you're gonna do good. But if you're the average YouTuber, you want to have a video that's not just a one-off. Like a video that where someone watches it one time and then they don't need it or ever think of it again. That's not my goal. My goal is make something that is either educational enough or funny enough that someone might have the urge to come back and watch it another time. Like maybe it's like, all right, I'm working on making legendary weapons. I can't remember what the next step is. I'm gonna go watch Muck's guide again. Or, oh man, I remember that really funny time he made fun of firebrands. I'm gonna go watch that again. You know, that kind of thing. There's a few things on YouTube, or on the internet, I should say. You know, well, this is a family-friendly stream. Another is music. Another is guides. Those things can keep bringing in views for like years down the line. So the more guides you got, or music you got, or you got, the more passive income you can get.
Nice job. I see that job. Funny enough, actually, we do have Iron Maiden in the chat with us today, and she's actually someone who's been very successful, of course, doing a lot of guides too. So, you know, there is kind of like a pattern there as well. And I think what some people I've heard say is, oh, but that guide's already been done, or oh, that person already did that. Like, I don't know if I could do one because that one's already there. And I think a lot of people, they don't realize, well, it's okay if someone did something. Go ahead, and if you think you could do it a different way, maybe better, maybe not, but just get it done. Maybe it could be the one for you too. So I feel like a lot of people feel like
there was an interview I watched the other day. Harris Heller, who does the Alpha Gaming YouTube channel, was interviewing one of this guy that this year he went from like 0 followers to a couple of million. Like, he's really blown up. And he interviewed him and asked him what his strategy was, and he called his strategy the yoink and twist. And that sounds bad, but hold on. And basically, he steals someone else's idea and just does it with a twist. So if you were to translate that to Guild Wars 2, that'd be like if I saw another content creator do a video on how to make a legendary weapons, and then I might look at that and be like, you could do this in half the time. And then I just remade the video, but did it in, 50% of the duration, so you get the information faster. That's yoink and twist. So no, if you can redo, like, some of you might have seen my get to the point guides. There's already guides on every raid boss. Like, the raid bosses came out like 8 years ago or something. I don't know, not quite that long, but a long time ago. There's already guides on all of them. And I even kind of made a light jab at them. I started one off, I was like, my name's Muckluck, and I hate most raid guides. They take 10 minutes to give you 2 minutes of information. Let's get to the point. And then I just machine gun through it as fast as possible. Like, I don't go over every freaking, and this attack hits you for 0.4% of the attack damage ratio of the boss's defensive power. Like, no one needs to know that. Just, this hits hard. Don't get in the red. That's all you need. That's all the average Joe needs. So, yeah. Go ahead.
In your guides on get to the point for raids, and honestly, like, not gonna lie, like when I got into recently, I started raiding again. Like, I actually just searched up your guys. I was like, I know Muckluck does shorter guides. I'm just gonna watch that, and it's legit like 3 minutes. And I'm just like, honestly, that's all I needed to know. That's it. Don't do this. Don't do that. Don't get hit by this. Jump in here. Okay, I'm good.
Exactly. I remember I got so much crap from the tryhards on the Cairn video. Because near the end, I was like, also he does this thing where he summons a donut. I don't think it even actually does anything. Just don't stand in it. Click these links. And then I just ended the video. And people were like, oh, the donut! How could you disrespect the donut? The donut hits you for 75% of your damage on leap year during a full moon at midnight. And I'm like, dude, shut up. No, dude, I think I've killed this boss 10 times, and even I still don't know what the donut does. So it doesn't do anything. Don't worry about it.
Yeah. I mean, just don't stand in the donut. It's a simple rule.
Exactly.
Donut bad. But yeah, I mean, overall though, yeah, it is. I feel like something that people kind of go like, I don't know, should I do it or should I not do it? So in the sense of like, maybe this is just something to say to your stream, to say to my stream, kind of just do it, right? Like, just get it done. Who knows what it could do for you in a way? Not just guys, any video you want to do actually.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you can make any video. I mean, if the video is just like, my personal review of my thoughts of BlizzCon, you can. It's going to be a really easy video. There's going to be 100,000 people doing the same video, so just recognize that it might be more for your own joy than for the fact that you're going to get a lot of other people. But yeah, there's you're talking about guides. There was one recent thing I saw recently. This heartwarming story for you. There was this guy, and he's a grown man now. Apparently, he didn't have a father figure in his life when he was younger, and he's got a YouTube channel now, and it's called Dad, How Do I? And the whole channel is like, how do you unclog a sink? How do you change a flat tire? How do you change your air pressure? How do you fix your hot water heater? How do you replace a blown circuit breaker? Stuff like that. It's literally he is making bank off that, and the whole channel is just like, how do I fix crap around the house?
Yeah, I've seen that video. Yeah, I think they shared, and he's even been multiple times shared on those pages on Instagram.
Yeah,
too.
and in all of those videos, evergreen. People are gonna, like, a year from now, some guy's gonna need to know how to change a flat, and he's gonna hit that video.
Yeah, it's actually, I think also that kind of brings some of it to it, right? You got to think of something, while you can do fun things, you do need something that kind of like, okay, are people going to watch this a year from now kind of thing? Is this something people need to go back to at some point, right? And I think eventually someone needs, if you're trying to make it as a streamer or content creator, you kind of need to have that bit of your bread and butter, right? Like the videos that people are going to keep going back to and just rewatching. And eventually they are a slow climb, but eventually you notice that those views start raking in, right?
Yeah. So, and to clarify, like, you don't, 100% of your videos don't have to be evergreen. Like, for example, if I'm working on a video, like one of the ones I still need to do is how to make Coalescence, which is going to be a monster project. But then if Guild Wars 2 has a patch day, I do videos where I literally just read off the patch notes, and people watch them at work while they're pretending to be busy. And they're only relevant for like 2 days, but they usually get more views than any of my other videos do in the first 2 days. So it's easy content, it's low-hanging fruit. So like I'll put the evergreen video that is a massive undertaking on pause do like Muckreed's patch notes and then go back to my other project just because the patch notes thing is just so easy.
I've actually noticed that. I did a recent analysis on the huge economy patch that we got, which a lot of people were panicking actually about. And I actually thought like, yeah, this might be a good video to put out. And I did the whole analysis. I think the whole video was about 20 minutes, 20 something minutes. And like, it actually got, I was only expecting it to maybe get 200, 300 views, which is average, is okay for like where I'm at now as a channel. But it actually ended up getting, I think, about 900 something now. And I'm like, actually, that didn't do so bad. That did pretty well for something that I was just talking about patch notes. And it was not even the whole patch notes, just that one section of the patch notes that was to do with the economy.
Yeah, but you already have a reputation, like you're rich. Your resume, you're like, I'm gonna talk about the economy, and why should you care? I'm rich. All right, let's get to the point. Like, you could just sit down and do that. People be like, well, okay then, let's do it. You know, just like
I've been told,
just like flash your account wallet in the camera and be like, there, see, shut up, listen to me.
no, I've been told that I have a big head when I say that. Some people even advise I don't say that on stream because then that will turn off a lot of people from the stream.
It does look like your crown is about to burst.
Well, you know, I can't get rid of the crown now. Did I not tell you of my story? I was reborn from my heart surgery. So like, this is actually, you know, me realizing that like, well, I'm Iron Man kind of thing, because I have some metalness inside now and I gotta live with it. So I have to wear this crown because I deserve the crown. And you see, that's
all
like
this
that
time
big
I
head
just
that
thought
was
you
talking-
were in the Burger King Kids Club. This is way better.
Yeah. No, actually, people always talk about it's a Burger King's crown. There's even a debate on our stream: is it Burger King crown or McDonald's crown? And keep telling people, if you love McDonald's burgers over Burger King, then you're dead to me. But you can't not like Burger King over McDonald's.
I'm fine with Burger King's burgers, but their fries are very subpar. Do you accept that?
Yeah, but
critique?
you would say McDonald's fries over Burger King fries, right?
All right. I guess we can we can put our opinions on Evian water aside and meet in the middle on this fast food debate.
So okay, that's the one thing we can agree on. I like. I do have a question though. Did you actually finish the Evian water bottles that I gave you?
Yeah. I mean, it was easy to grab one and go. So yeah, my wife and I we finished the thing, but it truly, in my opinion, tasted like just tap from the fridge. But I was just like, well, you know, it's already in a bottle. Let's just grab it and go. Well, yeah, we downed them all.
I know.
Is this where you offer me the antidote?
No, I mean, I was just, you know, I just want to make sure. Did you make sure it was like ice cold when you drank the water? You know, I have to ask because maybe you didn't do it right.
I didn't do it right. Oh my god, it was fridge cold. If it was ice cold, I would need to chew the water.
Okay. Okay. Well, just making sure. You know what? Next time I'll send you. Maybe I'll send you something from Dubai next time. Maybe that will work out. I have to. Pay for
I'm
shipping,
drinking
though.
water like it's not that good. GuildMM, you didn't do it right.
I'm just saying, man. It's just, I don't know. Someone told me that like tap water tastes the same, and I refuse to believe tap water tastes the same as.
Well, I said my
filtered
fridge tap water. There's a water filter built into the fridge. It's not like from the sink.
You know what? So here's the thing: why people say like, why are you used to drinking, you know, bottled water? Because here in at least in UAE, we don't have tap water. It's not a thing here. We don't have tap water connected to like a water tank or something. Like, it's legit. You drink from a bottle of water, or you get like jugs of giant waters that you store in your storage closets or something. When you live in a country with fresh water, the tap water tastes good. Yeah, that's not in America.
Steel Seed says, I'm waiting for the guide on how to drink water now.
Well, honestly, you could do that. You know what? I'll send you water and you review it and put a guide on that. It's content for you.
I'll just like
anything.
tilt my head back and then hold the bottle above my eyes and just like squeeze the bottle so it all just hits me in the forehead, and then just have a clip of you being like, you didn't do it right.
Yeah, maybe. We'll see. We'll have to work on that on the side. But anyway, now that we're getting sidetracked, so we've talked about, how you came as a streamer, how you've had your break more or less from Guild Wars 2, how it actually got you back into the game. And, now here we are, right? You've just finished 1,000+ days as a streamer, and hopefully here's to the next 2,000, or, to get there. And now we're literally just months away from an expansion, right? More or less. And really what I wanted to talk about is not just the expansion at first, just before the expansion, where we're currently at is the Icebrood Saga. And we've had some twists and turns with the announcement. Obviously, it was not well received earlier in 2019. And then when the Icebrood Saga started to unfold and the story started to get very interesting, and I feel like just when it was hitting its peak, we got cut off with the fact that, they're getting ready for the expansion and the story is not going to be what it was supposed to probably have originally ended. What do you feel about that? The fact that the updates that we're getting now, what do you feel about those updates that we are getting now?
Mixed feelings. So if we're talking about this, let me kind of separate this. The story, it feels very rushed. Like, we're fighting Jormag, and then like the next episode comes out, and we're completely okay with Jormag because Primordius is worse. And then the very next episode comes out, oh, Jormag betrayed us. Who could have seen that coming? Like, it was just like bam, 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 1, 2, 3, like really quickly, right? It's like that was just kind of like, okay, so the story, it feels like I get what they were trying to do, but it did feel extremely rushed the way they did it. But okay. As far as putting it into practice, Dragon response missions. I've made this opinion public before, that this is no secret to anybody who frequents my channel often. I love Guild Wars 2. I love ArenaNet. I'm going to say this as constructively as possible. They have a history of when they think they're done with something, just putting it down and saying, I don't want to play with you anymore. Dungeons, raids. We recently celebrated 1 year since Wing 7 came out. World v World, PvP. Then they made strike missions, and I was just starting to have fun in strikes, and then they announced Dragon response missions. And my first thought was, oh no, I love strikes. Because when they announced something new, the old thing is maybe dead. So I was really worried when they announced Dragon response missions that that's the death of strikes. So, I tried Dragon response missions, and they're fine. I enjoy them. Like, it was fun, but they were very long, and the rewards, like imagine it's like if I could do a strike and get 3 gold, or I could do a Dragon response mission and get 3 gold, but the DRM takes 3 times as long. Why am I going to do that more than once? So that's kind of how that is. So I did each of the DRMs once or twice, and I was like, all right, that was kind of cool, but that was really low, in-game payout for how much time we put into that. I'm probably not going to do this again. So that's how I felt about the strikes and the story. I
feel like, I actually love the story of the game, right? Because being an avid Guild Wars 1 player, I really enjoyed the whole lore and everything. And going into Guild Wars 2, sometimes it's hit or miss. I think like Guild Wars 2 still, in some places, do a good job of delivering on the story. Which, for example, the Icebrood was kind of like that. I feel like I enjoyed it. I know a lot of people still had mixed feelings with the story of the Icebrood. And more of my mixed feelings were kind of just of the fact that, this whole saga was just really another season. I don't know why it was just rebranded as a saga. Because a saga is really a chapter of stories,
I also think that
right?
was a bad idea business-wise. There's so many people that come in, because, my guides and stuff, I get a lot of brand new players that come in here, and they're like, WTF is Living World? I'm so confused. And I'm like, dude, they're just DLCs. They're just DLCs. Like, calling it Living World, the Icebrood Saga, Dragon Response Mission, Episode 5, Season 6, Champions, Bram F's up again. It's a DLC. That's way too much. You're confusing people. Like, that's horrible branding.
Yeah, I feel like it's really... Honestly, this is something I'll get into later, but the whole thing with the how games have DLCs like Assassin's Creed or whatever, Cyberpunk or whatever game that comes out usually will have DLCs, and it's really that, right? These whole seasons are just that. They are just DLCs.
Yeah.
It's just, it's, I don't know. The way I found it was like the story was getting interesting in the Icebrood saga, and then all of a sudden it gets cut off just when it gets good, just when like spoilers for anyone, by the way. So if there's a spoiler here, cover your ears for a sec. I won't try to spoil it as much, but there was a confrontation, I will say, with Jormag, and something happened. Some people did stuff, and as spoiler free as I can make it. And just when that confrontation happened, we get these next few chapters, which I feel like is kind of like a huge downgrade. It's like as if it's not even the same season anymore. And I feel like it kind of just cut off all the momentum they built towards getting to that confrontation.
Yeah.
I was actually disappointed about that. And I have not even done the strikes myself. So till this day, people keep telling me don't even do it for your stream because you're gonna hate it by the end of the stream.
What, strike missions or dragon response missions?
Sorry, the DRMs.
Oh,
the DRMs.
I would say, like, there's story in there. I would say do them each once at least. I mean, just once each, just so you can experience it. I mean, you said you love the story. But yeah, as far as like a profit savvy businessman like yourself, I don't think you would do it more than one time, but I think you should do it at least once.
Just to suffer,
the
huh?
one the DRM where you're trying to save is it Genderin Fields right outside of Lion's Arch, which are burning. Marjorie is disobeying orders and like getting into a screaming contest with this other lady, and they're both trying to save lives, but one is trying to do it by the book and Marjorie is not, and it was really interesting. I think that if you do like the story, you would like it one time through.
Oh, okay. So there's a bit of it. But the overall thing though is the huge arc that was supposed to be built up to. That in itself is not as, it feels like it went up to a peak and then now the peak just got deflated, kind of thing, right?
Yeah. I get what you're saying. Yeah. It's almost like now, and I'm not, if someone in ArenaNet watches this later, I'm not saying that this is what happened, but it almost feels like a different author picked up the pen. Like, it's the same characters and stuff, but it's just like the mood just shifted so hard.
Yeah, like that's kind of what I was trying to come out of saying, is that like it does feel like it's two different seasons. It's not the same season, like this feels like a side story in a season kind of thing rather than a main season of its own, and that's kind of where they're falling flat for me. And of course a lot of people are kind of, I guess, a little mad about the fact that the resources are now shifted, but I think hopefully that expansion does deliver. I do want the expansion to deliver because that is going to be huge for the game in the overall sense. But it feels like, again, we're at that stage where everything is on hold and pause until they get to that expansion, and so we're feeling kind of like not a content drought, but like a very low effort, like you said, kind of content that will get us to the expansion. And normally you'd want to actually, in a sense, get people more excited about the expansion, not just keep them waiting and giving them just very low end bits and pieces. And maybe they could have actually implemented the last few updates even better if they maybe just combined them into a huge update. Would have been better than just releasing it every 3 months or 2 months.
Right. Yeah, I agree with that. Even those of us that have played the game for a long time, of course, are super looking forward to the expansion. And on top of that, though, I want to add in, don't forget about the Steam release. They originally said it was going to come out in November, and then they postponed it. They said while they work on End of Dragons. I don't know if that implies it's going to come out at the same time or afterward. I really, 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 really hope they don't indefinitely shelf it like it's alliances or balance patches or alliances or whatever the forums are calling it right now. But the other MMOs, the Black Desert Online, Terra, the Star Wars one, whatever it was called, when those games launched on Steam, their populations nearly doubled. So, like, there's a lot of people that don't have a lot of money, and when they get in the mood to play something new, they go to the free-to-play section of Steam and they start flipping through there. If Guild Wars 2 was in there, I think we would get a massive rush of new players. Not necessarily people that would appreciate the new expansion, but just a massive rush of new players that would try it out. And I'm hoping that they do that at some point. I hope they didn't indefinitely shelf that idea, because that would probably be really good for the game, as long as they had a smooth launch.
I hope so. And I think maybe the realization came is that they maybe want to release it when there's something big going on. And
Possibly.
that's kind of why maybe the post. Yeah, and I think maybe itself, the decision to put it on Steam might have been rushed, because it was a sudden announcement that was happening on Steam, and a month from that announcement. And of course, when we actually got to the time where it was supposed to release sometime in November, they kind of pulled away and said, like, we're going to have to rework something. So I do feel like maybe it was a rushed decision, but they do ultimately want to be on Steam in some point in the future. Maybe just it was not time when they announced it, at least.
Yeah.
Thing. With the expansion, this is something that people have always mentioned with the DLCs, or yeah, we could call them the DLCs, because that's really easier way of saying it. You know, Guild Wars 2's community has been very I don't know what the word is for it, but they've been very clear about the fact that they don't mind putting in money for these Living World seasons or DLCs if it meant something better in the long run, right? The fact that if Anet had just bundled all the episodes into one big season, how they do on the Gem Store, but then making it a payable content, there's been a huge interest of players who did say, you know, we'll pay. Like, this is actually one of the few communities I've seen in an MMO where they're begging a company to put out paid content because they do want this community to succeed.
Yeah, I actually saw this was someone in my chat made a suggestion the other day that I thought was pretty good. They suggested having like a season pass type thing, or like a subscription service that was non-mandatory. Like you could do it if you wanted to. And we were talking about what that would entail. Maybe like you pay $15 a month if you choose to. You get that amount in gems, plus maybe you get like your daily login rewards twice as fast, or you get like some cosmetics, like a unique cosmetic each month or something from the store, and then, you know, that money would just go toward supporting the game. What we're like, it's no secret I love this game. I've made so much content for it, but one thing that, you know, worries me from like the business perspective is that when they did their did you see the Q4 earnings report for NCSoft?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, so like, was it Lineage
I don't know,
Mobile?
did I pull that up on the stream, or maybe not?
I mean, I could just say my point really quick, but basically, Lineage Mobile, and it's no secret that mobile games are very profitable, but it made 10 times the amount of money that Guild Wars 2 did. So I worry that as a company, you know, the suits at the top that don't even play the game are going to think it's not worth it. Now, I still think that this game is better than almost any other MMO on the market right now, but it could be even better than that if they, you know, put in a few tweaks.
I think it's also, I mean, overall, if you go through the positives of this game, you know, I know there's negatives for any game, but for me, I mean, this game has the best combat system. Till date, this is still the best combat system of any MMO I've ever seen after this. I think there's a lot of rich history in the game, lore-wise. There's a lot of, like, potential is what I feel like this game can be. And it's really the funding that's kind of driving them back. And I feel like, I know they want to keep the whole, you know, we are giving you a free game, you know, no subscription fee model. And it's very nice, a company that really wants to be that. But I do feel like, you know, sometimes they should not be, you know, worried about, you know, kind of like offering something at a paid expense or price. And many times people in the community have been saying, take my money, Anet, like whatever it is to make this game a better game. And I feel like they're more worried about the backlash they're gonna get about, like, oh, what happened to this free MMO model that you guys, you know, it's your culture and everything.
Right.
And I really feel it's the backlash that they don't want to step on their audience's toes. But then they also don't realize that people are willing to put money into this game. Not even people who play the game, people who come in from other MMOs and wonder, like, is there anything else I could buy in the game or anything? And I really feel like they could just get out of that mentality of, like, it's gonna be okay if you're gonna piss off people regardless. But
Yeah, I mean,
you know, and
as long as you do it carefully. I mean, like Path of Exile. Completely different genre. It's an ARPG, but Path of Exile. I've played it for thousands of hours, and I've spent like $20 on it, and that $20 was because I wanted a shiny thing. Like, it's completely just cosmetic and optional stuff, cosmetic titles, little wings for characters, stuff like that. There are plenty of games where it's pay for cosmetic and not pay to win that are very successful. They just have to do it right. They just have to do it right.
I think they have a nice model. I think the gem store is okay for what it is. But yes, I think the additional stuff that, you know, I mean, like, even with updates like Halloween or Super Adventure Box or Christmas, I feel like they can maybe make something over the, you know, just besides whatever they release on the gem store. There can be other stuff, like you said, maybe packs or bundles of things that they can package better, maybe, rather than throw in like 2-3 random items together and say, well, that's a bundle on the gem store. Something that can maybe, hey, maybe someone wants something in SAB, but they don't have the time and effort to play to get all that content in SAB, right?
Right.
So maybe hey, use this booster that will get you whatever, like an XP, you know, like those battle passes where you get double XP from whatever game that you're playing. I mean, other games like shooters or other online games that you can play, they always have those battle passes that give you better XP or better reward, just because maybe some people just don't have the time to maybe play the whole release of an update. So I feel like it would do better if they implement those tiny things rather than just focus on strictly cosmetic.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Now, so I feel like we could go on forever for talking about the disappointment. Not disappointment, but the mixed feelings that we have about Icebrood Saga, and I do wish
I got 11 more hours. After that, I'm cutting you off.
Yeah, 11 more hours. I don't have 11 hours though, sadly. You know, there's a problem with time difference here. You know, it's like what? It's like 1 p.m. EST over there. It's like
Come on,
11.
road to GuildMM 1,000 days in a row. This is day 1. You got this.
Oh man, I don't know. I was so proud of myself streaming for, I think, what was it, like a little over a month of days in a row. Like, it was like 40 something days in a row.
I remember.
And I was so proud of myself because I was like, I never in my life would imagine myself doing something like this for that long. And then I think someone asked me the question, do you plan to stream every day like Mukluk? And this was back then, where, you know, the first jab started happening. What happened? Someone asked me that question, and I was like, "No,
I remember, because you were like, yeah, you said I streamed, you know, 30 days in a row, Mr. Reliable." And then someone in your chat, because I was lurking, and someone was like, "Yeah, get on Mukluk's level of reliable," because I was like 800 days, and then you were just like, "Aww," and I was like, "Why would you do that to this man?"
Yeah, it was like, get on Mukluk's level or something. He's like, "Why don't you stream for 800 days in a row?" And then I was like, I have a life, and then...
Oh yeah, that I jabbed you for. You're like, I have a life, which of course implies that I don't. I was like, you and I both don't have lives. You shut your mouth. I spend it all on stream. You spend it all in the auction house.
Yeah, exactly. And that's where I got busted, because I couldn't... Oh well. Well, see, maybe I can make that argument now, because actually, since I got back, I've only been able to play when I stream, which I feel like it kind of... I want to make the stream work, but like my real life has actually, funny enough, gotten really busy lately. I managed to get a job, and I also work another job not the weekends, but like it's like my side thing. And working for a bank is not really fun.
Of course,
I
you
would
work
be
for
fun.
a bank. Jesus Christ, guys, you work for a bank.
Yeah, investment banking actually specifically.
He shaves off the pennies and uses them to buy gems.
I wish. You know, we have like long meetings and everything, and then I was telling, you know, I was like telling people, I was like, how am I gonna stream, honestly? How am I even gonna play the game when I'm not streaming? Because I genuinely like to play the game even when I'm not streaming. And then I was like, I'm just gonna have to make the decision and face it. Just stream and that's it. I'm trying to figure out that balance with a real job and like having like the fun thing that I want to do here. in the game and everything. And maybe eventually I'll be able to quit my job, and I'll one day strive to be like Mukluk and reach 1,000 days. One day.
I would say, like, we say this kind of in jest, but I want to say this semi-seriously for anyone else who might be thinking about streaming. Don't worry about comparing yourself to what other people are doing. Like, the people with 0 viewers are looking up at the people with 10 viewers and they're drooling, and those people are looking up at the ones at 50. And like, I'm able to do this full time, just barely. And of course, I look up at the people with thousands and thousands of viewers, and I'm like, oh, that's when I'll have made it. Like we're all looking up at the next thing, and then the guys at the top are they're the only ones that aren't. So don't stress about that. And you can be most people that are very successful, they take days off. I'm a freak. Don't clip that. That's not what I meant. But like I'm the weird one.
That right here on the stream. He said on the first episode of the podcast, the Barons Club.
Yeah.
Mukluk just that he's a freak.
Like I'm the weird one. Like, y'all don't need to be doing 1,000 days in a row just because I did it. Oh actually, God! No, I mean, you can guess my entire freaking chat boxes now.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't even have to say it really. I mean, I'm sure your chat, as soon as you say something like "don't clip that," I'm pretty sure your chat will get right on it.
They're very reliable.
But, like, no, they're very reliable in that. That's good though. No, but I think overall, and this is going back to maybe like the earlier parts of the conversation, is work on yourself as a streamer or whatever it is. I mean, this doesn't even apply to streaming. This kind of just applies to anything, right? That you do in your work ethic. Just work on yourself. Don't look at what someone else has that you don't. Kind of just, work and do as much as you think you can and capable, and eventually you'll get there. Of course, it just depends. And sometimes really it is a bit of luck. Sometimes you do need a bit of luck, but the only way for you to create that luck is if you keep going, right? The more you keep going and the more you try to think of different ways to innovate whatever it is you're doing, sometimes that luck comes because of that hard work. Just, speak it into existence.
Yeah, there's I mean, plus there's life. Like there's heart surgeries, there's maybe single parents, there's unexpected stuff happens. You have to work to pay the bills. Like you're not everyone is going to be in a position that they're able to do that.
Yeah. No, I was sad when I had my surgery. I was just like, oh man, this is gonna take another month before I can get back to Guild Wars 2. And I was, what I was so pissed off about? I was so pissed off that I missed the Festival of the Four Winds, which is a very profitable event every year in Guild Wars 2. And I was pissed off that I was sitting and I wasn't gonna be able to profit off the Festival.
I'm imagining the doctor, like, isn't he full of anesthetic, and you're just like wide awake, and you're like, heal me faster.
I was like, I need my computer. Someone told me you should stream in the hospital, and I was like, that's not a good idea.
No, I mean, maybe like a 10-second long recording of your face, be like, yo, I lived, something like that. Do like a meme or something, but don't just freaking stream while you're recovering. That's too taxing.
Would have been a nice, yeah, been a little taxing. Yeah, I mean, I'm actually glad I got to streaming back in later again, because I did have, not gonna lie, I had a lot of pain when I was streaming right away after recovery. But, like, the reason for these glasses, now I just wear them anyway, but there's a whole reason actually why I wear the sunglasses at the time when I came back to streaming. You can't see it because it's so dark, but I was actually in a lot of pain. And so the glasses were to mask the pain actually, so that I could continue streaming. Because you just get random pain after the surgery, and it was yikes. And I really wanted to get. I was wincing on stream a few times, but you just couldn't tell because of the glasses. But then, like, now coming back to Dubai, I was like, I'll just keep this sunglasses thing. It's become a character at this point, so I don't see myself like not streaming with the sunglasses. Honestly, it's difficult to see.
Like, not to say it compares to the level of heart surgery, but like in 1,000 days in a row, I've streamed sick. I've had some days. There was one day I had a cold or something, and my throat was hurting, and my voice was shot. and I was talking like this. So I was just trying to play it off. Like mentally I was fine. My head was clear, but I couldn't talk. So the stream title was like Mukluck ASMR. I was like, okay,
oh
guys,
my god.
we're going
I
to
think
kill this
I've
boss.
seen
I couldn't
one or
talk.
two of those
I couldn't
streams,
talk at all that day. But I mean, 1,000 days in a row. You got sick days. You just got to choose if you're gonna go through with it.
I think it's. I mean, at the end of the day, I think hey, you're here, right? So I think it was worth it. Souls is actually requesting an ASMR stream now. Of course, Souls would be the one to request something like that.
Oh my gosh!
Can't believe it. Actually, there was something about Souls is that you had a video on your.
Where's Souls been? Did he have heart surgery too? I haven't seen him in like 2 years.
He's here. He just streams in the upside down land of Australia.
The upside down land.
Yeah, but like, he actually had recently been in one. Not recently, but a few months ago, he was in one of your raid training videos, and every time he talked, he had this people, Mystic Coin dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that Noxxi helps me out with the editing, we could probably do a much better job of it. But yeah, I just had a bouncing Peepo Frog every time he said anything. And then one of my mods, Fluke or whatever she talks, is a bouncing flute. And then there's another guy that's a Mai Tai.
Wow. Mai Tai. Wow, that's actually... Hey, someone apparently auto-modded my... here, I got you, Illy, don't worry. Okay, so now, since we went and... I like these little off-topic discussions sometimes. I feel like can really talk about anything at this point, but I don't have 11 hours like you do. So to... get back to the subject, End of Dragons, right? It's coming out in a few months. It's going to be a return to
hold
Kantha.
on. Before we get the wrong idea in people that are watching this, they said 2021. That could be December 31st. So we don't know that it's a few months away, but go ahead, continue.
Yes, actually, good point. Well, anyways, whenever it decides to come out, let's just say, what is something, because I know alliances, and we'll get into some of that like in a bit, but what is a feature or a new addition to the game that you would want or expect the expansion to bring out?
Okay, so I speculate. I'm going to start off by saying I have a long history of being completely wrong about all the guesswork I do for this game. So there's that. But I think DRM, strikes, fractals, all this stuff has proved to me, similar, you said the combat is the best thing in this game. That's also in my videos where I'm trying to sell Guild Wars 2. Combat system is the first thing I touch on. So you could throw me in any of these crazy lands and meta events, and I'm gonna have fun because the combat system's fun. So at that point, it's just a matter of which meta do I get the most money from while I'm having fun, you know? It's like Drizzlewood Coast, for example. So I don't really care about the new land. Like, yeah, make a new zone, but it could be anything. Whatever. Give me a new zone to run around and stuff like that. I am more interested in the new elite specializations. They've already briefly leaked that there are new elite specs, and of course they have a precedent of having new elite specs. For any newcomers here, we're talking about like how a ranger can become a soul beast or a druid, for example. And of course, new elite spec means new weapons. Now, they have never, ever, ever added a new weapon type in the game. Like, you know, the weapons that are in the game were always in the game. I don't think they're going to add, like, flails, lances, whips, something that's not already there. If they do, I'd be pleasantly surprised. I'd be like, yeah, you know, like, you guys are gonna be like, Muck, you were wrong. How does it feel? I'm gonna be like, dude, I'm happy. Shut up. But I don't think they're gonna add new weapons. I don't think they're gonna add a new race. A new class is possible because they did add Revenant since launch, but I think it's unlikely because now there's 3 heavy, 3 medium, 3 light. I think it's unlikely they would add a new one. If they did, I want to see the Ritualist. I think the Ritualist has way too much to be confined to being someone's elite specialization.
Specialize it.
Yeah. But then, you know, elite spec comes with a new weapon type. Of course, most of y'all know that my main is a ranger. I just hope that whatever the new Ranger Elite spec is with its new weapon type, it's not projectile based. Because right now, if we're in PvP and someone puts up a Guardian Bubble, a Scrapper Bubble, or an Elementalist Focus Fart, and it puts the big windy area down, all Rangers in a 10-mile radius get their short bows, long bows, and axes just turned off. When I play a Necromancer and I just wave my axe around and people get telekinetically cut to pieces 30 meters away, I feel like I'm wall hacking. Because it's like, I cut right through bubbles. Like, don't give me another projectile-based weapon. Give me a hammer, a shield, a scepter, something. But I swear to God, if the new thing is like Urban Ranger and they just give me a gun, I'm just gonna facepalm really hard. I'm gonna be sad muck.
So I think here's the thing. I do feel like, yeah, we're probably just getting a third round of specs, kind of the norm at this point. Yeah, I do wish there was a clear difference of ritualist or even dervish, rather than them getting sidelined into just a specialization of 2 classes. And while I don't know if they will actually add another class, because like you said, like it's unlikely at this point, unless they try to balance it out with 3 different classes, 1 for each light, medium, and heavy, which I think that's expecting a little too much anyway. But I do want to see, what I do want to see is a feature, something that makes the actual expansion stand out. Because in Heart of Thorns, we had the mastery point introductions, you know, and we also had gliding, which was, I would say, groundbreaking in terms of for the game at the time. And then in Path of Fire, we had mounts, which was the next groundbreaking feature into the game. And it really does make a difference. If you guys go to Heart of Thorn maps today, and play it without a mount, you're actually going to appreciate having mounts, because back then in Heart of Thorns, if you don't have a mount, you're just going to get gobbled up by those tiny raptors, and that's all you could do is watch yourself get gobbled up like a Jurassic Park
GuildMM's
meme.
like, yo, back in my day, we walked up Heart of Thorns uphill both ways. 10 feet of snow, no mounts.
Yeah, and I mean, you basically became, there's a guy in Jurassic Park 2 who dies like by pocket raptors. That's basically it. That's what you are in Heart of Thorns. You're that guy that gets lost from the herd and gets mobbled or gobbled by the
Mobbled,
whatever. Don't clip that, his stream, you know. I can I'm watching you.
New GuildMM patent pending word chat. Mobbled.
But yeah, I think like that was a groundbreaking thing in Path of Fire, was the fact that we got mounts, and I don't know what to expect out of End of Dragons, if something like that, like a feature that kind of changes.
I did in one of my previous videos. I did say that the only type of movement that we don't currently have a mount for was underwater movement. So I was kind of expecting an underwater mount, but then they threw a curveball at me when they made the skimmer become an underwater mount. So I was like, oh, okay then. So now I don't really, unless they give us like a spider mount that can climb sideways on walls or something, I think we've got all the movement covered. I don't know that they're gonna add any new ones.
Yeah. Someone actually mentioned the housing.
So we already have player home instances, but I have said before, I would love to see them have the customization of the guild hall system, where you can like place things and move things around. But yeah, we already have a home instance, but it is not quite the same as a designable player house.
No, that's the thing. Which I feel like player housing, if anything, is just going to be some implementation to the player instance. Which I honestly I don't see a reason why we would have housing, because it kind of also would replace the whole guild hall model, you know. And maybe if they did housing mixed in with the guild hall model, or like you said, the player home instance, I think something like that. Like it's gonna be, if they ever implement it, it will be a mix of one of either those two things. Really, there wouldn't be no reason to make its own separate system. But we've seen Anet usually, like you said, go from something that they already have in place and go ahead and make something completely new, rather than making a different or improvement change to something that they already have in the game.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think we could maybe, I guess, do with that, but that's really more to appeal to the role players, which actually this game has many of. I've noticed recently, being on the EU, actually, I've been enlightened by the fact that a lot of people have different end game content, and role playing is one of them. Did you know that?
I mean, I immediately think of Char and I'm scared. But yeah, you do you. This is a judgment-free zone.
Judgment-free zone. Okay. Besides that, though, let's go back with a few points that I think we can knock out quickly. How many maps do you think we'll get with Kantha? You think we'll get 5 maps, 10 maps, 9 maps, 12 maps, no maps.
Oh man, I mean, Heart of Thorns had 4, but they had many, many layers to them. Path of Fire had, what, 5 pre-DLCs? I think I had 5. And then, of course, the Living Worlds had 60, so and then Icebrood Saga has 3 maps, but 2 of them were released in halves, so it was 5 releases. I would guess 4+ based on the past.
4+, huh? I mean, let's see. I actually want to bring this up to people. So, Cantha Lures 2 map, and I want to just kind of bring this on the actual podcast here, just to give you guys kind of like an idea of the map system or how big that map is. I can't even find one.
I think one of my most memorable... So I did play Factions, but it was, you know, over a decade ago. I remember that shanty town. It was just like houses upon houses upon houses upon houses. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yes. What's it called? You mean like more in the city, right?
It was like a city. There was like... oh, chat's saying that's Canning. But yeah, it was like a ghetto built on top of a ghetto on top of a ghetto. So it was just like a 10-story ghetto. That was the most memorable place. It was like, it was a labyrinth. It was crazy. And it was like, I don't, other than all the other zones were just like pretty open areas, grass and stuff like that. But that shantytown, I remember that really clearly.
Yeah. Well, to bring it to people's perspective here on the stream, I don't know if it's actually showing. I have to do this. There we go. As I said, I'll have production qualities on this podcast. Anyway, I don't know if people could see it. Hold up, let me see. Oh, there we go. All right, so for those that haven't been accustomed to the Factions map, the place he was talking about, the shanty towns, that's actually up here in Kyning City, right? More or less what you call your packed metropolis of its time, more or less. And someone actually did a breakthrough. I think this is even kind of tells you where everything's at. I feel like we might get 5 maps. I don't know. I feel like you could easily make the whole Kyning area, like the city and the outposts, all into like one huge explorable area, or 2 if they wanted to go that way. I feel like the Jade Sea will be its one entire map. The I can't pronounce the forest, but you know, the Kurzik forest, the Oaklid forest or whatever it is, that will be its own area. And I think the island, the starter island, might be its own area. So that really only leaves you with 4 to 6 maps, really, at most, if they want to condense it that way.
Somebody just mailed me 1,250 jugs of water and wrote "chill well before drinking." Great podcast.
Oh wait, really? Who's that?
C Kraken.
You're a MVP. Thank you. Remind him to hydrate. I can guarantee you that's probably Evian water. Even in Guild Wars 2, there's mountains of Evian.
In-game Evian water.
Yeah. I should start. Actually, you know what? I should buy up the jugs of water that come on the trading post until it's so high up in demand.
You can get them from merchants, though. That wouldn't work.
You know, well, I mean, I would have to every day probably keep buying them. It would be like a never-ending process. Yeah. So that's the way.
I think you'd be proud of me. I actually, I drove up the zucchini economy the other day. On my day 1000, this guy he bought the cheapest 10,000 zucchinis and mailed them to me because he was a troll. And so I put them back on the trading post, like a few silver higher each. So I like tripled the price for a few days.
Oh, wow.
So it took me, the trading post locked me out like 4 times before I could post all 10,000 of the Zucks. But I was like, if I'm going through this trouble, I'm getting paid for it.
Actually, I can actually relate to zucchinis making money. So actually, not many people know some of my origins, but like why people know that I made a lot of money through legendary weapon making, and a lot of that had to do with buying people's gift of masteries and then also trading and flipping. But what people don't realize is the first item I ever made money off in this game, carrots and onions.
Carrots and onions, just like reselling them a lot.
So do you know, I don't know if you know this in launch, but remember there was like the first player to ever hit level 80 in the game did it through crafting, like literally just crafting their way to level 80.
I did not know that.
So that was the thing, like crafting was actually so overpowered that you could just level an entire character up to 80 at the time. And I remember it was like, they said it was like I think it was like a European player who apparently had become the first player to reach level 80 in the game and did so through crafting. And I remember just people started like actually getting into these items and buying them and things like that. So I actually went and started buying food related to chef, which you would use in crafting. And that's how I made my money. Hey, it's Mini Muck!
Yeah, he's been strangling
don't
me
go.
during your whole carrot conversation.
Wait, no, Muck, don't go. Isn't he the one who... Wasn't he with you when you went to get the bottles of Evian?
Yeah, that's a short story. I told him, now, he knows the names of some people I interact with on stream. Like, if I've said, he knows your... I don't know when I first told him your name. Maybe when I did the first podcast with you.
Maybe.
But he knows the names of a few people on here, like Teapot and you, for example. And there was one day I was like, hey, buddy, we got to go to the post office. If you cooperate, I'll get you McDonald's on the way back. And he's like, all right. So we hop in the car and we're driving, because that's where the P.O. box is, for the Mucklet P.O. boxes. And he's like, what are we doing? I was like, someone mailed me a box of water and I have to go get it. And he's like, was it GuildMM? Just immediately. And I turned around and I was like, yeah? How do you know that? Like, I don't know what it is about you. In his head, he's like, oh yeah, that sounds something he would do. He immediately had you pegged.
Nice. Well, he knows good taste. That's why.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Going back, that's crafting earlier in the game is actually a good way of getting XP. They've nerfed it maybe 4 times, by the way. So I think now you can only get to like level 60 something or even 50 something. But back then you could literally go all the way to 80 just through crafting. It's an interesting fact. But yeah, going back to the actual conversation of and the dragons, 5 maps. That's what I think. I think it's doable with 5 maps, and then the other 5 maps, they will, of course, make us wait for a living world expansion.
Maybe. And keep in mind, some of those areas, they might just be like inside of an instance or something like that. It might not be an open world explorable area.
Yeah. That's why I say at most I feel like we'll get 5 maps. Because they'll easily be able to, kind of really combine these. And again, Guild Wars 2 probably has even like a map in Guild Wars 2 kind of is bigger than the map in Guild Wars 1 in some sense. I feel like the maps in our game are bigger than the previous one. It'll be easier to combine multiple maps into one.
Right.
Besides the maps then, and we've talked about the specializations, do you really think we might not really get another race? If now was the time for
They've
a race, this would be the best.
It's been 8 years. They've never done a new race. I honestly wonder if the people at ArenaNet currently know how to do that. Like that's such a that's so in like the oldest code of the game. There's the running. I'm not saying this is true, but there's the running joke that everyone there is too scared to touch the original spaghetti code. Like I honestly wonder if there's anyone there who could do that without fear of mucking up. So I think that they would rather just not touch that. There's no precedent in 8 years, so I'm not counting on it.
Yeah, I know, but like if there was any time to do it, this would actually be the time, wouldn't you think?
If they
because
allow it, all these people that want Tengu, no, get out of my hair. I want to play 4 Scrit and a trench coat. That's the new thing I want.
I would love have a Scrit race because, you know, I resonate with that. Scrits love shinies, and finally, you know, I could pay maybe 20, 50 players, a full squad of players. I'll tell them I'll pay you 10 gold each.
Like none of this
follow me.
Tengu stuff, none of these Quaggins, none of these giant Coca-Cola polar bears. Give me 4 Scrit and a trench coat. That's and I'll accept it.
Okay. I feel like they would never do that just because they're like, we don't want something that competes with an Asura. And, you know, Asura's the mini race of the game.
So many people in my chat. You take that back.
You take that back. It pissed off a lot of people with the Tango thing, especially the Guild Wars 1 fanatics. But I think, like, you know, a lot of people would be like, well, how would you even do such a update? Like, how would you even kind of like have a race implemented when the story is so different? And I think like it's actually the way to get the race into the game is very easy. I mean, you're starting in a new expansion. The only viable way would to make it exclusive to that expansion, right? Like, it would make sense that the race starts in a different story because we're not at the same story we were when the game first launched.
Yeah, but then they would need to make like an entire newbie zone in the expansion area. So like instead of like 4 level 80 zones, there'd be like 3 level 80 zones and then like a 1 through 20 zone that also has a boat that then takes you to Lion's Arch after you hit 20 or something like that. You know, like that would
not necessarily. You could have it like start from level 80 from scratch anyway. I know it would take away from trying out the race from 0 to 100, but like honestly, that might be the only good way of doing it.
So that's like how WoW. That's like how WoW did Death Knights and Demon Hunters. Death Knights, as long as you had a level 55, you could make a Death Knight, and they started at 55. And Demon Hunters started at 80, I believe. But back then, the max level was 100 or something like that. But they've changed it since then. So you're suggesting something along those lines?
Yeah, it would be something like that. Yeah, I think that'd be fine if they do it. But again, this is, you know, hoping for a lot for something that, you know, like you said, it's been 8 years. There's been multiple times where they were able to introduce a class, or it made sense, maybe not story-wise, but with the theme of where we were going, we could have expected a different, not class, sorry, a race. So yeah, we're hoping. We'll see what they add to the table. Besides race, and actually I need to hide this map because it's actually annoying me at this point. Okay, now I can actually finally bring back Streamlabs thing here. Yeah, so speaking on the next things from EOD, what is it that you want to see in the long-awaited Alliance update that, you know, we've been waiting for, you know, it seems like an eternity at this point? What is a quality that you want to see? Because I know everyone agrees on the same things, kind of, but I know different people have different perspectives.
I think there's implemented. You're talking about World v World alliances, right?
General alliances. Yeah, of course, it'll be mainly for WW, but something that makes it different for you.
Okay, so describe the function of the general alliance. What exactly are you saying?
So obviously you'll have the one for World vs. World, which give people like a quick TLDR. The way alliances for World vs. World will work is guilds, I think up to, there's no limit of guilds that join, but an alliance consists of 500 players. And basically guilds will have the option to choose, you know, how many members they want to represent the alliance, right? So then that's how you fill up the 500 slots. There's no limit, I believe, on the guilds as far as I'm concerned. And those people who commit to that alliance make up the alliance. You can only transfer servers, I think they said every 8 weeks or something, if you were going to transfer. So priority wise, they did mention in matchups, the reason why you choose your alliance is because that will be the guild you automatically go with in any server that you get paired up with, so that, you know, you don't have to worry about server transfers or funding or any of that. So that's the alliance system of World vs. World, at least. General system is, you know, what do you think could be done that could work for the PvE side of things, where guilds who are not really interested to make an alliance for World vs. World, but something that makes sense on why they want an alliance in the PvE side of things.
The thing is, in PvE, anyone on NA can already play with anyone on NA. and anyone on EU can already play with EU. So the only PvE alliance that would change the already existing game mode, if I'm understanding you correctly, would be a way for NA to play with EU.
Could be.
If you think about it, the reason alliances are such a big deal for World v World is because World v World is the only game mode that you can't already play with anyone in your region because it's server based.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it's just I feel like there's no reason why it feels like a missed opportunity not to do some implementation for why you'd want one in if you're a PvE guild, you know, because in World vs World it's gonna make sense for this fact that you'll be paired automatically or priority wise you'll be paired with the people in your alliance in the same matchup. PvE wise, I feel like they could do something that, you know, it would have to do something with an implementation system of rewards or something that makes people want to make and form an alliance in PvE, and that has to do with something with the reward system. And you know, I'm just trying to think of how would they be able to do something that can appeal to the other side of the game.
I'm trying to find out if you know something I don't. Have they said something recently about alliances?
No.
Or are you just hoping that after 3 years of zero word on this, that they're going to do it with the expansion?
That's the hope, by the way.
I don't think they will. I think that they're hoping that we're going to forget about it. And we won't, but it's just going to continue to be a meme until the end of time.
I really hope not, because alliances pretty much came with factions in Guild Wars 1, which is the same expansion we're getting in Guild Wars 2.
I would love to be wrong on this. I would love to be wrong on this. But they haven't said anything new on this. If they do it, fantastic. That's awesome. I don't think they will. Like,
I do wish that. I'm not holding hopes up, but if there's any time to put out alliances, this is also the right time. This is literally the expansion that goes to. You're going to the same place that the original alliances came out from. So like to not put it out here, that's gonna be a big miss. Like that's one miss that you don't want to miss, you know. And I know it's been 3 years. I think 3 years.
You have such a way with
at
words.
This point.
That's the miss you don't want to miss.
Yes, it's just it doesn't make sense. But here's the thing. Even with alliances, if we get alliances in World vs World, I feel like they don't have things that, or I don't know if they're thinking of things that we're thinking of, but like, here's alliances in Guild Wars 1 were things where you had guilds who represented either the Luxon or Urzik faction, right? You know the factions that existed.
I vaguely remember that, yes.
So basically, in Guild Wars 1, when Alliances was out, you could pick to choose which faction you represent. It's kind of like the Alliance versus Horde system in World of Warcraft, like which of the two parties you side with. So if you're a Luxon alliance, you and your guilds would rack up things called faction points, right? And you do that by competing in like alliance-related activities that sometimes includes farming maps for points, or it had to do with like competitive gameplay, like alliance battles where you fight other faction like Urziks. And so those points rack up overall for the alliance. Each guild has its own points, but the alliance totals up all the guild's points. So say you had like 5 guilds, each with 10 million points. That's 50 million points for the alliance. If you have enough points, you can own a town or a city. So it's like the equivalent of like an alliance owning Lion's Arch or Divinity's Reach, for example.
Right. And
you get benefits such as you get like access to like you see how you have the Royal Terrace Pass in DR, or like basically you had like a pass area in those cities that you owned, and you can go there. Like it's a private pass, only people in your alliance can go to. No one else can actually access them. I think you had like a few vendors that give you scrolls that like you have to like sometimes go out to a different map to get, which is very tedious. So it made it easier for those alliances to have those scrolls. And I think there's even discounts if you own the town that you were in. And of course, the alliance with the most points owns the biggest town, and then it works its way up from the top town to the bottom town, and even outposts. And the other difference was that the opposing faction, if they were, for example, for some reason winning most of the wars between the two factions, the guilds on that faction could actually own territories from the other faction. So Kurziks can sometimes own Luxon lands. Likewise, Luxon lands can own Kurzik lands. It just depends on the border. Like there's a border that shifts between those factions. And so you had this rivalry of alliances going on, not just between alliances competing for the best town in their faction, but then both factions had alliances against each other. You know, you had internal and external struggle.
And you're hoping for a return of something like that.
That's something I wish they could implement. I mean, it's if not that, then maybe a ranking system that can properly determine what makes an alliance better than another alliance. You know, a ranking system could solve that, and I think it's something they could easily do if they added, I don't know, something like how many PPT points, I don't know, how many doors you hit in WW and captured keeps or towers, or how many kills you got as an alliance overall, how many towns or outposts or camps that you secured, sentry guards, whatever it is, right? But somewhere where the points tally up into a ranking system, and there should kind of be like a reward for that, right? Like something that incentivizes people to maybe want to strive for a top leaderboard.
Yeah, I could get behind that idea.
Yeah, but that's wishful thinking is the problem. And I wish really something like that gets, you know.
I mean, it sounds like a good idea, but I don't know they would do that. The leaderboard thing, like there are some tiny leaderboards on like the little challenges on the maps. Like there's leaderboards on those. Nobody cares. Now, if what you're talking about, like playing tug of war with towns, that sounds awesome. I think people would actually care about that. But if there's just a leaderboard if they just take something that people don't really care about and they slap a leaderboard on it, I don't think people are going to just start caring about it. You know, it has to already be decent content.
Yeah, no, well, that's why I say the implementation of controlling a city or an outpost or something that can influence the reason of why you want. You know, I'm not expecting them to do something like Black Desert, where if you own this city, then you also get like, yeah, because then that would actually, that's not healthy for the economy. Even though I would love for that to happen.
I was gonna say, don't lie, you would love to own Lion's Art to take 10% of everybody's repair costs.
If only, but you know, I mean, I don't think that would sit well with people. But the only reason I would love for that to happen is because I know I can make it happen. You know, being a previous World vs. World
banners would all have your Burger King crown on them around the city.
Yeah, eventually one day Yvonne Nashblade will work for me, and he'll tell me the reports of the day. You know, oh well, I can only dream. Yeah, I don't know. That's a feature I would love for them to expand on, because it was a huge feature of the original factions in Guild Wars 1. And yeah, it's wishful thinking they implement something like that in Guild Wars 2, but it is something I feel like it resonated a lot with that expansion. And if they don't at least do a callback, you know, not expecting too much, but maybe a callback to it in some way that kind of incentivizes people to be like, okay, this is another thing that's worth this, you know, putting into this expansion and getting my money for.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds good.
Yeah.
I think that would be a massive undertaking, but if they brought that back, I think it would be healthy for the game. But so far, the only thing we know about factions is the one cinematic video and 2 forum posts, so we're still very much in the dark about the features.
Yeah, what do you think? Yeah, and here's I think maybe what is, I feel like, I don't know, people are kind of brushing this, but like, when do you think they actually started developing this expansion? Was it at the time of the announcement, a little after the announcement, or was it already in the works just before the announcement? The timing is actually an important factor here.
I would think they had at least started it before they announced it. Like, you don't just announce, like to announce that we're going to make a thing and then have not even started on the thing, that's basically Kickstarter, you know? It's like, we're gonna have a baby. Are you pregnant? Nah. We're gonna give it a shot though. Like, what? Why are you telling me this? Like,
yeah, that's true. I don't know. Sometimes I feel like that's something Anet would do though, is like announce something that they actually haven't gotten done. Sometimes I feel like
I mean, it's not impossible that a company could do that to try to drive hype and maybe get people to, like, you know, pre-order or spend money, which they then need to make the thing that they just advertised. But I don't So, I mean, the fact that they've got NCSoft as a parent company, I don't think they would have to be in a position where they'd have to do something that shady. But you know.
Oh, I got Darkbringer's here. The one true Anet dev is here.
And he sent you a sad face. Oh, you see this, Dark? I'm trying to defend your company, but this guy is dragging you through the mud.
See,
this is a great time for you to say GuildMM for partner.
You know, here's the thing though. You are a partner. I heard from one of your videos that you are liable to say these giveaways are sponsored by Anet because they could come after you for and at some point,
the gem codes, yeah. If they give me a gem code and then I give it to somebody else, I have to say that they sponsored that giveaway, or that someone may or may not break my kneecaps. You know?
Yeah. You know, you watch those knees, Muckluck. I'm just telling you. See, but I don't.
See, you're trying to turn this around on me. I'm not the one who's trash talking the company.
Oh, true. You know, Darkbringer. I really do want to be an Anet partner. Trust me, believe me. You know, it's just, you get like, you know, the full honesty of GuildMM. You know, I think that's something people in Anet would appreciate. You know, I've sent in 10 applications. I've never gotten a reply yet. I don't know. Maybe the email's not working. So I'm waiting for the response. You know, 10 applications. You know, I've heard there's a certain someone actually in the. I don't know if he's still here. Is he still here? I won't say who, but I know someone who sent you like an application every week.
No, chat, he's not talking about me, but I know who he is.
You know who he is, right? Like,
oh yeah. I can't talk about that because
I won't say unless.
Yeah. I signed an NDA. Yeah. But yeah, there was someone who was a little too energetic.
I'm emailing the wrong place, probably. Who knows? But anyway, we're getting too
you know what? You know, maybe you need to apply every week. You know, maybe that's what it takes to get a response.
Maybe, but then I don't want to be that person who basically like the response was, can you let them, you know, can you like, I don't want to be that guy who gets the response of like, can you tell this person not to apply every week? Because I feel like that's what they would feel like.
Do you have a lot of dirt in your? Do you have a lot of skeletons in your closet? Have you been banned a bunch of times that you haven't told us about?
No. You know, I'm an honest man. You know, I give back to the community a lot. I'm you know, clearly the master of giveaways, as you guys can see. There are 2 on the page to filter out people that aren't reading the page fully. Okay. Maybe I have to look at that again. All right, so to cap it off,
I think he's trolling you. Dark doesn't even work in the partner program.
No, he doesn't.
I think he's messing with you.
Then 100% MM chose the wrong one. How could you be 100%? The fact that Becky does not even believe in me. My own followers don't believe in me. That's sad.
I just imagine there's 2 email addresses. One's like partnerapplications@anet.com and the other's like GuildMM use this one at applications.trash. And you're just like sending the second one over and over.
Whoops.
Heating the furnace at Anet headquarters.
Oh well. One day I'll be partner. One day. You know, sometimes
it'll happen posthumous, like when you get a purple heart after you die. They'll put the partner badge on your tombstone.
Honestly, I would love to be immortalized in the game, same way a few other players have gotten immortalized. Except I would like to be like a shiny mystic coin somewhere in the trading.
I'm by one of those now. Where is he? I'm next to DeRoyer right now in Mistlock.
Yeah, and actually, I think the last recent one that got implemented was
Roy.
Do you know? Yeah, Roy from in WW. They actually had
There's a ghostly merchant guy for him, right?
Yeah, Golden Sync already done. Yeah, I guess that could be my contribution to the game. You know about the story about the Golden Sync?
I know you got it on day 1, and you were like, "This is it."
Yeah. You know, I'll probably buy a few more this year. Anet implements it. I will buy a few more. Maybe I'll give you one for one of your guilds. You have like 5 guilds, right?
I got 3.
I'll give you one.
I had no idea how much work I was getting into making 3 public guilds, and I was like, no more. Stopping here.
That's a lot of work, honestly, running a guild.
I fortunately got some people who stepped up and helped me delegate the duties and break it up, but it was too much. It's too much.
Yeah. All right. So, getting back, actually, Turbo is getting us back on track. So, expansion, alliances, elite specs, legendary armory. Oh, we haven't talked about that. Real quick, because we've actually discussed this in the other podcast we had last year. Legendary armory. Do you think comes out during the expansion at this point? Something that they just pushed to the expansion?
At this
Because I think
point, we've gone like, unfortunately, because they have already set a precedent of if we don't talk about something for long enough, we're just kind of hoping you forget about it. It is very sad that that is a thing, but unfortunately that means if we go more than a few months without hearing about Legendary Armory, everybody starts panicking and wondering if this is getting swept under the rug. So I just hope that it gets finished. I'm very much hoping it gets finished.
You remember in our initial conversation, we thought it would come out sometime at the end of this year. And we also had like the idea of like, don't be surprised if it doesn't even come out, right? And that was in May, I think, of last year, something like that. So, yeah, I don't know. At this point, I hope something like that does come out in the expansion. A raid wing and a fractal. I do believe, to answer Turbo, yeah, probably a raid wing and a few fractals probably would be in the work for the expansion, right? I think that would make a lot of sense. More specifically, I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get any fractal additions right away, but we might have one raid wing ready to go in the expansion.
Yeah, I think that's not a bad bet, because Hot and Path of Fire both had raid wings, so I think it would be possible to see raid wings in End of Dragons.
And that being said, I think that covers most of the features we could talk about in End of Dragons. Is there any final thoughts you want to put in for the expansion, aside from that it's going to be in Canta and so exciting?
Let's see. If anyone in ArenaNet watches this, I want the new race to be a bunch of Skrit in a trench coat. I want, like, if you get a pair of boots, like one Skrit gets the right boot, a different Skrit gets the left boot, stuff like that. Everybody's mismatched. And new Ranger lead spec Warden, they get a shield and they get to use multiple pets at the same time. And take the Skyhammer out of ranked PvP because that thing has so many pathing bugs. I have no idea why that's there. All right, I think I'm good.
Nice. Okay. And do you think we'll get Gen 3? Legendary Gen 3. And will Legendary Gen 3 be account bound or sellable?
I hope it's account bound. I would like to see no more sellable. I think it's good. Like, yeah, there's more prestige when you see a Vertirock than when you see a Howler, you know, because that guy possibly had to work a whole lot harder for it. So I like the non-tradable ones to earn over time. Like, there's always going to be a market for the tradable Gen 1 legendaries. I don't think they need to add more to that list. Also, legendary rebreather is still needed. Harvesting tools and wood potatoes added legendary bags where you could like make them an invisible bag or not an invisible bag at whim and stuff like that. And I was like, yeah, that sounds good.
Actually, that's true. That'd be a good addition. I kind of the Gen 3s are tradable just because I'm a trader and me and a lot of the people in the trading community would
imagine my shock. I mean, you did just mention wanting to own Lion's Arch a few minutes ago.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe Darkbringer could make that happen. I don't know how, but he's a programmer, so I'm sure something can be done in the code.
I think he works on the overlay, like the interface. Next time he's in the interface, he'll just be like, tradable legendaries.exe, enter.
Hopefully, one day. All right, well, so, Mukluk, it's actually, funny enough, been almost 2 hours now. I went by so fast, really.
I didn't think we'd actually fill 2 hours. I'm surprised.
No, I'm not worried because I know we sidetrack a lot, so I wasn't worried about the 2 hours. So even though I showed you the bullet points we talked about in this podcast, right? We're going to start off welcoming you and kind of getting to know your story and how you found Guild Wars 2 and your love for Guild Wars 2. And then moving into the Icebrood Saga and, the mixed feelings about that, and then the yes and no's, and then getting into the expansion. Honestly, I expected a lot of I'm surprised we didn't have a little more sidetracks because usually we can talk for like, you know, hours without remembering what we were originally supposed to talk about. So this is actually good. We stayed on time.
There
I
were
like
only
it.
2 of us here. I mean, last time you and I did one of these, there were 4 people, so that's more distractions.
There's a lot of distraction. It is true. All right. So those that don't know, Mukluk just celebrated over 1,000 days. You must know because he's literally the only streamer that will pop up on your Guild Wars 2 feed on Twitch every single day. You can count on him being loyal to you. You know, even more loyal than your own partners in life. So make sure you tune into Mukluk. I have to say your long name, by the way. I'm hoping I don't mess it up. You know, I was hoping to say it, but like I had already forgotten what your name, and the whole thing. I think I forgot one name, and I don't want to mess it up. So I'm just gonna pull a Twitter and go from there because I know it's cheating, but who cares? It's my podcast. I can cheat. And I'll bet you anything, I'll still mess it up now. All right. So it's been a pleasure. We've gotten to know, you know, a bit of your history, Mukluk. It's been nice to kick off the first episode with you. I really like this idea of bringing on a guest and just kind of knowing and, you know, kind of getting to know you on a different level because we've had a lot of conversations, but very rarely did we ever get into details of backstories and stuff like that. And so this was fun for me. And I hope it was fun for everybody who's watching here on your stream. And hopefully this is something I can keep going with other streamers as well. And maybe, just maybe you come back for another episode. You know, I know you're a busy man now because you're the big man now. So before it used to be well, not you, but now it's you. So you
I have
are
no idea what that
basically
sentence was supposed to mean, but yeah,
It's
it was
basically,
fun.
you
It was
know,
fun. As long as we plan ahead, I'm
yeah.
sure it's possible.
Yeah. I got your name here. So this is your, you know, there's one name that I mess up a lot. So I'm gonna try. Okay. I'm gonna try.
As fast as
All right,
possible,
guys.
please.
Okay. It's been GuildMM and Mukluk Douglas Bartholomew Reginald Esquire the Fourth, bringing you the first episode of the Barons Club podcast. Thank you all for joining. I love you all. It's been a pleasure. Mukluk, your viewers, everybody that's been here. It's been a great first episode. I'm excited to keep these going. Mukluk, if you have anything that's going on in your stream, anything that you want to say to the viewers, now is the chance for you. The floor is yours, sir.
My name is, as he said, Michael Douglas Bartholomew Reginald Esquire the Fourth. I stream every single night after 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, sometimes way earlier, such as today. If you're ever chilling at home, you want to hang out, it's family friendly, so you don't have to worry about that kind of stuff. If you want to hang out, I've got 2 YouTube channels, Mukluk YouTube and Mukluk Plays, if you want to see my content outside of that. And sometimes guest speaking on GuildMM's Baron podcast.
Thank you. Well, I hope to have you on for more in the future at any point in time. Always been a pleasure, man. Take care. I know you have a long stream ahead of you. I'll let you get back to that. And actually, you know, this is perfect, guys, because once I'm done with my closing remarks, we can just, you know, raid Mukluk and, you know, that'd be perfect. Look at that. We actually planned this, guys. Absolutely, 100% planned it.
All right, sounds good to me. I'll take it.
All right. I'll see you in a bit. I got to do a giveaway for the stream because I always have to do a giveaway.
That's fine. I need a bathroom break.
Yeah. So, those who want to stick around, we have a giveaway. And I actually want to start the first giveaway of the first episode of this podcast for something big, all right? So, going in line with being a Baron, right? This is the Barons Club. Mukluk is absolutely a Baron. He's the Baron of Zucchinis. We are going to give away a big shiny item, okay? And this item is going to be a liquid Aurelium infusion. So if you'd like to join in on a liquid Aurelium infusion...
Oh, my chat,
everybody,
you might want to bomb into his channel for a quick second and steal that. That's like 2,000 gold.
Make sure you have your account IDs ready, though, because...
All right, I'm going to disconnect from the Discord. It's a pleasure, buddy. Thank you.
Love you. All right, good luck.
All right, chat.